Hey, this is Patrick Hill. I've just discovered some relatives back in the 16th century, and I want to take you there. So we're going to start off with my mother, Maxine Estelle Stevens Hill profile on Find a Grave. And as you can see, she died on June 1st of this year, 2022. And her mother was Aline Purvis, who died in 1993. That's my grandmother. And her father was Reverend Shepherd Larkin Purvis, and that's where I get my middle name. He lived in Columbus County, North Carolina. He was a pastor. And he's buried across the street of Porter Swamp Baptist Church in Saragordo, North Carolina. So he was my great-grandfather. Now, his mother, Harriet Newell Hedgepeth, died in 1911 in Robeson County. And her mother was Elizabeth Lewis Hedgepeth, who died in 1892. She had a father, James Lewis, who died in 1855. And James Lewis had a father whose name is John Lewis. John Lewis lived from 1750 to 1842. So in 1776, John Lewis was about 26 years old, and it is said that he fought with the Continental Revolutionary War. He was a private. And John Lewis had a few wives, but he is the son of William Lewis and Elizabeth Phillips. So we did some extra research, and I found the son of William Lewis and Elizabeth Phillips over here at Wikitree. Wikitree, this man lived about 1730 to about 1800. So William Lewis III, if he was born in 1730, and when he was 20 years old, he gave birth to Private John Lewis. And it says that William Lewis was born in Donegal, Ireland. So this is where we come to America. And it says that William Lewis III is the husband of Elizabeth Phillips, just like it says right there. So it's the same guy, I'm pretty sure. And it even says John Lewis. It mentions John Lewis as a child. But let's go upline. But first, let's learn a little bit more about William Lewis. Let's see. He was born in Ireland, the son of Elizabeth Borden and William. He married Elizabeth Phillips in 1748. They had 6 kids, and one of them was John Lewis. He was a farmer. He produced turpentine and tar. He was a surveyor, and with his brother Jacob laid out a road from north central New Hanover County, which is north of Wilmington, to the northwest Cape Fear River. He lived all his life in northern New Hanover County, now Duplin County, and died there in 1800 at the age of almost 70. So let's look at his father, William Lewis Jr., who was also born in Donegal, Ireland. And he was the husband of Elizabeth Borden Lewis. And as you can see, he's the father of the man we just spoke of, William Lewis III. And a little bit about his life. He was allegedly born in 1690 in Donegal, Ireland, and died about 1755 in New Hanover County, North Carolina. So his father was William Lewis Sr., who we're going to take a look at. Born in 1660, France, and died in Ireland. His mother was Mary McClellan, born in 1665 in Scotland, and died in Ireland. In 1736, William Jr. moved to the Black River area, New Hanover County, North Carolina, with his wife and 5 kids, one of whom was John Lewis's grandfather, William III. Also, many other families from Northern Ireland were convinced to move by Henry McCulloch, who had been granted 60,000 acres of land along the Black River, north of present-day Wilmington. This particular land became a part of Pender County in 1875, when Pender County was formed from New Hanover County. In 1740, William Jr. was appointed constable in New Hanover, and in 1744 he was witness to a will there. Here's the will that documents his stay there. But let's go back up to his father, William Lewis Sr. William Lewis Sr. was born in 1660 in, however you pronounce this, France. And he married Mary McClellan Lewis, as we mentioned, in Wales. And so William Lewis Sr. was born in 1660, as we said, in France. And he had a father named John. The Lewis ancestral family were Huguenots, originally from France, where they had lived for several generations, originally coming from Wales. In about 1687, after France revoked the Edict of Nantes and thereby prohibited Protestantism, his father Jean-Louis, or Jean Lewis, fled to Wales with his mother and 3 sons, where he bought a tract of land and settled. And our William Lewis Sr., John Lewis's first son, was born in France around 1660, immigrated to Wales, where he married a McClellan and settled in Northern Ireland. They had 3 sons, William Lewis Jr., and they all moved their families to the New World in the 1700s, settling in North Carolina and Virginia. William Lewis Sr. established a new law practice in Northern Ireland, where he lived out the rest of his life, dying in 1720. And so you can find this at Wikitree.com. It's up here. Wikitree.com/wiki/Lewis-13326. So William Lewis Sr., we're not done yet. He had a father, and they changed their name from Jean Louis, or Louis, to anglicized spelling, Lewis. This is where they changed the spelling. But John Lewis was born in about 1635 in France, and that's about as far back as we go. He died in 1700 at the age of 65 in Wales. And here's some interesting information. Born in France about 1635, his name was John Lewis before he changed it. He was of a Protestant family of Castres in the former French province of Languedoc, in a predominantly rural Midi-Pyrenees region. His ancestors had lived for several generations in France. So that gets us into the 1500s. He was of Welsh descent and a Protestant Huguenot. He and his 3 sons were lawyers. The Edict of Nantes had been granted in 1598 by King Henry IV. This edict allowed Protestantism in France, but in 1685, King Louis the 14th revoked it or something. I'm not good at Roman numerals. So Jean Louis changed his name to John Lewis, had to leave. He had to flee from France because of his religious persecution and danger from the king's government. He went to Radnorshire, Wales, the alleged homeland of his ancestors, with his wife and 3 children, where he bought some property and stayed the rest of his life. There is substantial evidence that John Lewis, John Lewis, was directly related to the Lewises of Harpton Court in Radnorshire County, Wales. So there it is in the red area on the big island of England and Scotland. The western part of that would be Wales. And then you see the island to the left of that in green, that's Ireland. And on the northern tip of that is where you're going to find Donegal, Ireland. And Donegal would be on the west side of that red outlined area. And then we mentioned France. France would be the south of France. That's mentioned on these wiki pages, Wikitree, and the region of that is right there on the beach. That's nice, on the beach. And that's where I live, in Myrtle Beach, for the last 50 years. Thanks for listening.